And welcome everyone to another Smart Money Circle episode. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is Sevasti Balafas, who's the CEO and founder of GoalVest Advisory with approximately $630 million under management. Sevasti, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the Smart Money Circle.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward
So,
to it.
my pleasure. So, Sevasti, I always like to begin. Can you please tell us your background and how you got to where you are today, please?
Sure. So I will go a little bit back. I grew up in Boston, but I moved to New York in 2001, and I started my career at Lehman Brothers. I was in a corporate finance rotational program early on. At some point during that, I was introduced to the CFA program, and I started studying for that, and I became very interested in investments through the introduction to CFA. And once that happened, it helped me move over into wealth management. So I got started in private wealth management at Lehman Brothers. I was on a very successful team. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. So I was there through 2008, and we all know what happened in '08 with Lehman Brothers. I ended up pivoting and I went to business school. I went to Wharton in 2009 and graduated in 2011, got my MBA from there. And then after that, I went to another company called Rockdale, turned into City National Rockdale, and that's the second part of my private wealth management investment career was at Rockdale. And I was a portfolio manager there and managing investments for other financial advisors. I had a great time, but ended up leaving and started GoalVest about 8 years ago. So I was with CNR or Rockdale for about 4 or 5 years and then launched GoalVest right after that. And that's what brought me here today.
I love it. What a great story. So, and you
Yeah.
survived Lehman, you learned from it, you went to
Yes,
grad school. Love the whole story. Let's talk about
exactly.
GoalVest. I know it's a
Sure.
female-led wealth advisory firm. Please let us
Yes.
know what you do, your investment strategy, and all that fun stuff.
Yes, will do. So it is, I founded GoalVest 8 years ago now, and I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. So we've started as we're an RIA, we're a registered investment advisor. We offer comprehensive wealth management to high net worth families in the $2 to $10 million range, and I can talk more about that. But we actually have two business lines. So one is working directly with families and helping them with estate planning, financial planning, insurance, all of that comprehensive wealth management, but also managing their investment portfolios. The other part of the business, we also offer investment management services to other financial advisors. Frankly, that's a bigger part of the business right now. So
Okay.
we're a third-party asset manager, and we have leaned into alternative investments, and we put the whole portfolio together. So we have a core equity portfolio, core bond portfolio, but at the same time, we've been able to use quite a bit of structured notes, private equity, venture capital. We've actually launched a couple of funds on our own. So we're innovative and we have an institutional caliber investment portfolio at this for our financial advisors and our clients. At the same time, we offer that wealth management service to our direct clients as well. So we do two things.
I love it. So, okay, we have a lot of fun here because a big part of
Yeah.
the audience are financial advisors and then their high net worth
Mhm.
clients. So that's
Mhm.
kind of the lane that we swim in, so to speak.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about risk management and
Sure.
what are some mistakes you see people make with respect to risk management anywhere you want to go.
Sure, sure. So, in terms of risk management, a couple of things like I'll talk about it certainly in terms of how we build the portfolios and I think what one thing that we do, I believe pretty well, and it's in regards to risk management is number one, communicating with our clients. So I'll talk about the direct client side of the business first, but then this kind of passes through how we build investment portfolios for those financial advisor clients as well. Number one is just communication. And I'll say what I mean by that. Communication, understanding the client situation, and okay, why is this important? Number one, in terms of communication, expectations. So this all is about a part of risk management. So communicating what is it if I put a portfolio together for you in a certain way based on the goals and objectives you've shared with me and what I think is suitable. If I put a portfolio together in place with a certain amount of equity exposure, it's going to have a certain amount of volatility. And we can see based on history, what does that mean? And I can put it into dollar terms for my clients in terms of what does that mean. So if you have a $5 million portfolio and you have a 70% equity, 70% equities in that portfolio, I can tell you in dollar terms, what is the normal fluctuation that you can expect from your portfolio? And I think that really helps clients. And this is a big part of risk management because, especially during volatile times, if you know that this is possible and what in dollars could this mean for your portfolio, it helps you get through that volatile time. So that's number one is in terms of communication, education, like what the portfolio that we've built, what can you expect from it in good times and in bad? And then number two, a big part of what we do is, again, understanding the client situation and what are the potential cash needs you might have. Everybody that comes to us says, okay, this is long-term money. I wouldn't have come to you, if I didn't have a long-term time horizon. But we know the reality is that clients sometimes have expected distributions or unexpected distributions, and we plan for that and we have money aside. So number one, or just to, in terms of risk management, it's about communication, making sure clients know what to expect. But the other part of it is being prepared when we do come into a volatile time, like having cash aside, having the right buckets in place so that we can draw on the portfolio if we need to. And then, of course, the time tested, true principles of investing in terms of diversification, not only in terms of the types of stocks that we have, but the types of the other asset classes that we have. And I mentioned alternative investments earlier. So incorporating the stocks, the bonds, the alternative investments, diversification of the portfolio, the cash needs in place, and communication and sharing those expectations. I think that's the biggest part of it.
I love it. So what you're doing is you're looking at the holistic approach. You're taking a dollar amount and saying, hey, if the market goes down this much, are you okay? Yes or no? And if the
Yes.
answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, that's fine too. But at least it's planned in advance. So you're not playing
Yes.
Monday quarterback after the fact and the market does go down. It also goes up and it goes sideways. So when it does go down, you're prepared instead of panicking. So I love how you flip it on its head like that. And you ask the tough questions first.
Yeah, and it's not only how much risk are you willing to take, how much are you willing to bear? It's also, by the way, in normal times, this is what it means in your portfolio. So I've had clients that call up, oh my gosh, I lost $100,000 today. It's like, okay, let's do the math. $100,000 on your 10 million portfolio is X amount, like totally normal. You don't need to call me. So just making sure they expect those numbers.
I love that. Okay, wonderful. So
Yeah.
if you have like a dollar amount that's predetermined and it's less than that,
Yes.
you're comfortable
Yeah.
because, hey, listen, we already
Yes.
had this conversation. Okay, that's perfect.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
next question for you. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some timeless lessons. What are some
Yep.
timeless lessons you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience?
I think the main thing for me that I've learned in terms of lesson, like in my life, in my business, there are others that have been through this before. Whatever problem you're facing, decision you're facing, there are others that have been through this before. And in this day and age where there's so much information available for us, we have to learn from it. We have to seek out that information. So not only in our friend circle or parents or family, like certainly being open to advice or getting information there, but podcasts like you're doing, which is amazing, podcasts or books, or, there's just so much information out there. So I think for me, the one lesson that I'd like to talk about is, when I'm facing a problem, it's like, okay, I can go this alone, but I know someone else has done this and they've experienced a similar thing. What can I learn? So I think that's one of the things that I'd like to say in terms of timeless lessons. Um, one other one that I have that I think is also important, I've seen it a couple of times in my life is, and this is more maybe on the personal front, but I think it's true for business as well. Like not making, actually, very much is true for business as well. Like not making a decision under a time of duress. Like sometimes you have to, you need to act. Like something's going wrong, you need to act. But what I mean is like if you're going through a problem and and I think of something very clearly in my life where, it was a tough time in my life. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I can't do this. I need to quit. I need to stop. I need to just shut down my business. Like it really felt like that. And it wasn't the right time for me to be making that decision. I wasn't in the right emotional state at that time. And it was after I had given birth to my daughter, and it was a particularly tough time, but that wasn't the right time to be making a big life decision. So I think that's another thing that I'd say, just in terms of like, if you're facing something very stressful, like get information, get to a better place, then you can make the right decision as opposed to reacting when you're in that time of stress.
Yeah, I love that. That makes great sense on both points. I mean, the first point is, they say a wise person learns from their mistakes, a wiser
Yeah.
person learns from other people's mistakes, and that's
Yes.
the best piece of
Yeah.
advice right there. So that's great. How about timeless
Yeah.
mistakes?
Um, Timeless mistakes. So, one thing I see, especially in terms of investing, is around it- not every investment decision is going to be the right one. Like that's just the nature of it. You do your best, you get the most information you can, you do your best, and then you take a decision. And sometimes it works out, and most of the time, hopefully it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I've seen people that end up suffering from like the snake bite effect, right? So they've made a mistake, they've lost money, and then they're like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never investing in tech or, and I've seen that a few times with people in the 90s. Like they've invested in all this tech, they lost this money, and then they're like, I'm not doing that again. And that's not the right approach. Or they made an investment in a friend's business or in some private business and it didn't work out well. I'm never doing this again. And I think that that can end up being a mistake. Instead of saying, I'm never doing this again, it's okay, why did that go wrong? Did I make a bad decision or was it just the circumstance, the time? And I find people end up being too conservative after they've made some investment mistakes. So I guess I would just point that out as a mistake that I've seen over and over again. People making a bad decision, losing money, and then being too conservative, and then not participating in great markets, diversified portfolio, other great opportunities.
Yeah, and then they miss out completely. I get that.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, because I like the snake bite effect too. That makes a lot of sense because you get wounded, so to speak, and you're like, oh no, I'm just
Yeah,
never gonna do that, or it's not for me, or you tell yourself some
yeah,
story that doesn't exist, and then
yeah.
you kind of just lost in the sauce. So, all right, beautiful. Let's talk about some advice. What's the best piece of advice you'd like to give the audience or your 30-year-old self?
Um, Advice that I'd give, I think for me, this has certainly worked in my life. And I think the best advice that I can give, because I think this is so important, is in terms of being empathetic. So understanding where other people are coming from, understanding their situation, or having the ability to understand their situation. And how do you get there? I think so. The advice is, how do you be empathetic? The advice is in regards to um, putting yourself and maybe advice that I'd give my younger self or just advice generally, like putting yourself in situations with people that are not like you, not the same political views and trying to have a conversation around that, not the same religion and having a conversation around that. And even, and those are some examples that might seem more obvious, but also like not only being around, so I'm in the investment management space. I tend to surround myself with a lot of finance people, not only being around finance people, being with artists or creatives or people in very different businesses or industries and learning from them and seeing what are the problems that they face or what are they going through. And then also in terms of socioeconomic, I think that's another important one. So like people in all walks of life, we have something to learn. Um, and just it helps us with understanding what it's like to be in a day in someone else's shoes. And so I think having empathy is really important. It's helped me with a lot of client situations and setting up my business, employee situations. So I think that's one thing that really emphasize, like get out of your bubble and just learn from other people with different viewpoints. Um, And then in terms of, again, in terms of my 30-year-old self, I think another one I'd say is, you know, not not being afraid to let other people know that you don't know something. We don't have to know everything. Um, we have the tools that we can learn a lot, but we can't know everything. We don't know everything. And having the confidence to speak up, even if you don't know everything, I think that's important as well. So, yeah, you're not expected to know everything.
I love it. That's the whole point of my show is I know I don't know, so I've got one
Yeah,
job, it's to learn. So,
yeah,
I bring
yeah,
on smarter people and
yeah,
learn. Yeah, I love it.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful. Well, thank you so
yeah.
much. What is the best way for people to learn more about what you do or get in touch? To the website
Oh,
or,
yeah, I love that. Yeah, so our website, goalvestadvisory.com, and check it out because we actually just had a branding refresh. So we have a brand new website. I'd love to hear thoughts on it. We just got it live a few days ago. So it's www.goalvestadvisory.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon. This was fantastic.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks. I appreciate it.